All right. So this was a little what if scenario I thought would be kind of fun to talk about. And as you can see, we're going to be talking about the idea of uh, basically what if the D-Rex from Jurassic World Rebirth ended up on Skull Island, or rather, could what would it be like, or could it survive? I don't know what I'm going to call this title, but you get the gist. Basically, we're going to put the D-Rex from Jurassic World Rebirth on Skull Island. Now, as to which Skull Island, we are going to be doing the Peter Jackson Kong Skull Island for this scenario. Now, you may be wondering, why do you use the Peter Jackson Skull Island so much? It's mostly because I feel like that's the definitive, for me, that's the definitive Skull Island. Like, yeah, MonsterVerse Skull Island is cool. Original 1933 one is really awesome. The Skull Island from the 70s movie sucks, but I think the Peter Jackson Kong Skull from that Skull Island from that movie is perfect. I think it's a perfect balance of like being terrifying and being awe-inspiring, and also they put a lot of logic into an island you barely get any screen time with unless you get the extended edition. I don't know. I think I might do a video actually talking about like what are my definitive versions uh, of certain aspects of Kong, and maybe that could be a whole segment in of itself. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. So, what would it be like if we put the D-Rex on Skull Island? Now, first and foremost, I'm pretty sure like the Skull Islanders are going to look at the Distortus Rex and go, "That's Gaw." Like that is straight up like Gaw. And from descriptions of what we know about Gaw from the novels, is that Gaw was kind of looked like was very reminiscent of the D-Rex. So they would probably look at it as like, oh no, Gaw has returned, and and the D-Rex is like already doesn't like humans to begin with, so he's just going to be absolutely tearing across the Skull Islanders left and right, just murdering them left and anything he can get his hands on. But in the island itself, like let's say like the D-Rex gets further into the island, like what is that going to look like? Like a what would it look like if the D-Rex got into Skull Island itself, like the environment around it? Now it's interesting because from what we understand about Isle St. Hubert, the D-Rex is very solitary. It's a very solitary creature that kind of hangs around in one specific spot. And from what we also know is that we don't know if it's fought and killed other dinosaurs. Thanks Jurassic Park Rebirth for not giving us a T-Rex fight. Um, you know, you better have that thing back in the next movie, but whatever. So yeah, we don't know if the D-Rex is capable of combat or how intelligent it is. We do know that like that big beluga head of his does have a pretty big brain, but we don't know if it's just like shy or um, or just non-combative. And guess what? That if that is the case, that's not going to work exactly in Skull Island now, is it? A non-combative creature on an island that's just built for competition is not going to fly. Again, that's more speculation than anything else, so do keep that in mind. What is going to be important is that the other thing you have to understand, that according to the background of it, and again, they did a phenomenal, and I say this in the most sarcastic voice ever, phenomenal job of showcasing that the D-Rex was apparently always in pain because it was born wrong, and like it even hurts to roar. You don't get that in the movie, but we'll just add that to this factor, is that the creature's constantly in pain. So you're not only fighting yourself, you're fighting all these elements. Yeah, Skull Island is a shrinking landmass where competition is just constant. Like every waking moment, every animal on that island is fighting for its life. So the fact that the D-Rex is going to be now in competition rather than have a huge chunk of territory for itself is going to be a problem. Now, I would imagine that like the D-Rex would probably be, the Venatosaurs, the raptors, would probably be an equal threat. They would probably try to gang up on him because they are known to take on large prey, such as the Brontosaurs. The brontosaurs themselves do live in massive herds, and they are the largest thing on the island. Now, the D-Rex's size does kind of fluctuate, but I would say it's probably roughly the same size as the V-Rexes. We'll get to them in a bit. But the D-Rex would probably be preying on brontosaurs, but it's not exactly a fast animal by the looks of it. So it's probably going to be like a massive ambush predator, or, just trying to capture and kill other herbivores on Skull Island. It'd probably also like reach up and grab like bats and just eat them. So it's going to have a very mobile territory. Now, it's obviously going to have two major competitors on Skull Island. The D-Rex is going to be facing, of course, the V-Rexes and Kong. The V-Rexes are an entire devastating force of nature to everything on the island. Again, they have, after the great apes have been wiped out, aside from Kong, they've become the apex predator and the dominant force of the island. The V-Rexes are pack. Some of them can go into a pack mentality. Others are solitary hunters, but they always seem to know where the other one is. So if the D-Rex comes across a V-Rex and the two get into a fight, I can't really judge who would win that fight. That'd actually be kind of cool for Goji Center, honestly, to see that fight. V-Rex versus D-Rex. I'd be if we could find a way to tell Goji Center that's the fight we all want, because we haven't gotten any 06 Kong rep. They did tease a Indominus versus Peter Jackson Kong fight, but that's still in the winds right now. But I will say that a one-on-one V-Rex versus D-Rex, that would be an impressive fight in of itself. But again, we don't know if the D-Rex could really hold his own against a whole family of V-Rexes. He'd probably get overwhelmed. In a one-on-one versus fight with Kong, that's going to be equally bad for him because, again, the V-Rex may have extra arms, and looks like they are incredibly strong limbs and a very powerful bite force because, again, it is a T-Rex, so it's obviously going to have a pretty incredibly strong bite force. But Kong is incredibly agile, intelligent, and is probably going to understand, hey, if this thing grabs me, I'm dead. So it's going to be Kong is going to be constantly moving, and it doesn't look like the D-Rex is that agile to begin with. So Kong would probably be if Kong and the D-Rex got into a fight, the D-Rex may have the size advantage, but Kong has fought bigger and he's conquered bigger. So Kong's just going to be would be an absolute menace to the D-Rex. And again, much like Kong, the D-Rex doesn't really have anyone to fall back on. There's nothing really there. There's no family member. It is alone, so it is going to be fighting constantly. And that's the other major thing that's kind of against the D-Rex, is that first off, its genetics are already fucked up beyond all belief. And secondly, the other major thing is that it's alone. And that's the only thing they have in common with Kong. But Kong isn't a genetically imperfect monster. He's capable of taking care of himself. The D-Rex, yeah, not so much. The D-Rex is basically it's basically like an orphan with polio walking around a military base. That's the best description I have for it. But yeah, so you guys tell me in the comments below, what if the D-Rex from Jurassic World Rebirth was on Skull Island? What do you think it'd survive? Do you think it would be a menace on there? Or do you think it would be immediately killed by something? Yeah, just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in Multiverse.